Good morning, everybody. MG here. MG Covers, bringing you a brand new sports handicapping video. Title of this video, How to Sharpen Your Handicapping for College Basketball. Super educational video. You're going to get a ton of value out of this video. We'll dive into that in a second. As always, if you're watching this video for the first time, greatly appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Have a ton of content on the channel related to sports handicapping. So if you want to improve, get better at sports handicapping, subscribe, watch these videos for free. You get a ton of value out of that. If you follow me on Instagram, you get a ton of value there as well. I give out a lot of free content on Instagram, sometimes a lean towards a specific play regarding line movement, etc. MG Covers spelled with a Z. And if you look in the link, there's a link in the description box in this video. So if you just scroll down, you can click on that. All right, so let's talk about sharpening your handicapping for college basketball. I love using real live examples. So we're going to look at yesterday. Went 2-2 in college basketball, but profitable. We had Brown cash in as a really nice dog at plus 180, plus 540 win there. So what we're going to do is show you how to sharpen your handicapping. Now, a couple things just to quickly review college basketball. Home team wins 70% of the time in college basketball. So if you play an away team, you are automatically giving up points before the game even tips off. And what do I mean by that? Well, if the home team wins 70% of the time, in order to win, they have to score more points. So before the game even tips off, you're giving up points. Now, I did not say don't play away teams, but if you do play an away team, you need to exercise this sharp ATS calculation I'm going to show you, and you need to make sure that the team you're playing, if you're playing them to win, they need to show that they are capable of winning on the road and they are in excellent form. So let's dive into that. All right, so the Brown, we'll start with this one first. Okay, now you look at the record 5-4, so we scroll down here and we look at their, say last 10 games or so. All right, lost to Vermont. They lost to Colgate. They lost to Loyola, Maryland. Okay, so the 0-3 back November 7th, November 10th, November 13th. Now look what happened since then. They beat Stony Brook. They lost to a really good UMass. UMass is good this year. Beat Maryland, beat this team, beat Bryant, beat Hartford. So since those three losses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they're 6-1. So this is a really good basketball team that's in really good recent form, okay? So 6-1, and also too, need to show you this, the model. We would never play a play unless we had value via the model. So our line was -4.5. We need at least 5 points difference between my line and sportsbook line to establish value. Sportsbook line was +4.5, so we have an 8-point differential there. So now we need to look at Rhode Island. And automatically we see Rhode Island's only won 2 games. So not in good form. So that's a good thing, because let's say if they were 6-2, that would mean they were obviously in good form. And if we're playing Brown to win, we need to make sure that this team over here is not in good form, or we have enough value, and we did in this case plus 180 to establish a play. So you can see here, got blown out by Providence, lost to Boston College, beat Illinois State, lost to Tulane, got blown out by, I think that's Kansas State, beat Stony Brook, and lost these two here. So they've only won twice. So when you factor that all in, Brown definitely a good play. Now, granted, it was a close game. They could have easily lost, but again, we had a ton of value there as well. And of course, you could have played that on the you could have taken the points there. That was a win. My general rule of thumb would be the average margin of victory in college basketball is 11. So if it's under half of that, which would be 4.5, let's just say, better to play that team on the money line. If it's 5.5, 6.5, advantageous to take the points. All right, so since that was an example of a good example, I'm gonna scroll down here. Let's look at a bad example of playing an away team. All right, so we'll scroll down here, my power rankings, and Alabama State we had was -8.5, my line. All right, now, so the sportsbook line was plus 6.5 for Alabama State. Now, this is interesting. Watch this. So, a lot of times when you look at an ATS calculation, this team is whatever ATS on the year, 8-4 on the year ATS. But that ATS number varies, right? Because the spread is going to be different for all their games. However, this is the sharp way to calculate against the spread. You have to use the spread for the game being played now. So the current line is 6.5. So what we're going to do, we're going to add 6.5 points to all of these Alabama State games and see how many times they cover. That's the correct way to do it. All right, 6.5 here, lost, 0-1. All right, they won here, so now they're 1-1. Got blown out, blown out, blown out, blown out, blown out, and blown out. So now you can see over here they covered, right? But that was against bigger numbers, right? They were getting 17.5 points, 19, 20, and 14. Tonight they're only getting 6.5. So when you look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they are 1-7, adding 6.5 points to the line. All right. So let's go over here and look at North Alabama. So we do the same with Northern Alabama. We are going to subtract 6.5 points for them. Okay, didn't cover here, 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 covered here, covered here, and covered here. Now, what's important, and that's probably why this line was the way that it was, because obviously Northern Alabama is not covering that number as well. So you got basically two bad teams. Let's see what the record is. Yeah, 5-4. However, we already know that statistically speaking, Northern Alabama is at an advantage because they're home. And you can see there the line was they lose by 8 points. So it was relatively close. But again, what I want to show you is that's a great example of a no play. So there's no way you should ever play a team on the road that's only covered the current number 1 out of the last 7 times. All right. So that's an example of a bad line. Let's go look at an example of a good line here. All right. This is the one that we actually played, Penn, Villanova. And look at our line there, 14.5. That's important. And then let's look at my line. Pennsylvania was -5.5, so we're getting about a 20-point differential. Okay, now this is interesting because Penn's a really good basketball team. The record doesn't show it. Lost to LaSalle in overtime, so that was 50-50. Could have easily won that. Lost to St. Joe's in overtime. Beat Delaware. Beat Colgate. Beat Hartford. Lost. Beat Lafayette. Got blown out by West Virginia. Not fair to judge them on that game. That was a step up in class. Beat Drexel. Lost to Towson. And, of course, lost to Missouri. You really can't count the West Virginia and Missouri because that's just teams in another level. But if you go back here and look at the recent form, so we'll do the same thing here. 14.5. Covered, 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 didn't cover, covered, didn't cover. So 8 out of the last 10 times, 10 games, if you add 14.5 to their line, they covered. And then, of course, the game in question, boom, they covered that one. Okay? And then you do the same here with Villanova. Let's finish this out. Villanova, well, they have to cover a 14.5 nut. That's a big nut, 14.5. So let's do that. 0 for 1, 0 for 2, 0 for 3, 0 for 4, 0 for 5, 0 for 6, 0 for 7, 0 for 8. So Villanova is 0 for 8, having to cover a -14.5 nut, and Pennsylvania was 8-2. So see how much sharper that is, a sharper way to calculate ATS. So anyway, Yeah, that's how you do it. So again, when you do this, if you're going to weigh, and again, like I said, I'm not saying don't play away teams, and certainly you wouldn't be crazy enough to play Pennsylvania on the money line, because if the book's going to give you 14.5 points, you need to take it. Not unless if Penn State had maybe won 8 out of the last 10 games. I mean, Penn had won 8 out of the last 10 games. Sure, maybe you consider it then. But when the book's going to give you 14.5 points, you take it, and they cover it. So anyway, hope that helps with your handicapping there. If you want access to all these power rankings for college basketball power rankings is a really solid model. It's currently 35 and 28. That's just the plays via the model with value. With no handicapping, that's 55%. It's a really solid model. You can get access for $50 a month. Gives you access to college football. You get access to all my lines for the bowl games, NFL, and of course NBA as well. And you get access to all the coaching videos. If you want access to all of my plays, $100 a month gives you access to everything I just mentioned. And if you join for an entire year, it's like getting an associate's degree in sports handicapping. You save about $600. $4.99 for the entire year. And to join, just click the link in the description box. Hope this video helps. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.